Alright, hello here everybody. And in this lesson we're ready to go ahead and begin our user interface creation for our image plane tool. Now, this tool isn't going to be that complex. We're basically just going to be using the examples from the Autodesk Maya 2011 online documentation to go ahead and build our window, as well as our procedures so that our buttons will work, and we'll go ahead and add the ability to go ahead and delete those images as well, just so that you don't have to really fumble around, and it'll just make it faster to go ahead and get your images set up inside of Maya. Okay, so the first thing that I want to get across is I'm not a coder. Okay, so I'm gonna really strip the code down and give you a basic version of the window. So let's go ahead and get started. In order to find the codes that we need, all you really need to go ahead and do is just go to Google and type in the Maya corresponding version. Typically, you would want to use 2011 if you're using 2011 and up, but some people are still on 2008, so you can use the 2008 library to go ahead and create those codes. So let's go ahead and get started in finding those codes. So what we want to go ahead and do is just minimize this here for our user guide. Jump down here to our technical documentation and just click on the commands here, and this indicates our ML, and you also have a library for your Python codes. So what we want to go ahead and do is go ahead and create a window here. So let's just come up here and jump onto the top and click Windows, and we'll go ahead and click Window here. And if we scroll down here to the bottom, you see that it gives us an example of a window. This window itself would typically be a little bit complex in terms of the actual creation of the window, so we're not necessarily going to be using this. Let's go ahead here and jump into our window layouts, and since we'll be using the grid layout, let's go ahead and just click on grid layout here, and you can see that this gives us a very basic example of a grid layout window here. Okay, so let's just go ahead and copy and paste and see what this is actually going to look like. And I'm just going to go ahead and minimize this, jump into our script editor, just hit Control V to paste that in, hit Control A, and then just run the command, and you can see that this is a fairly basic window. There really isn't anything here that's really that complex in terms of the actual code structure. But let's say that, and let me go ahead and just grab this window and move it over here, just so that we can really get a view of what this actually is. Let's say that we want, instead of having 2 columns, we want to have 3. Okay, and go ahead and hit Control A and paste that, and you can see where we get 3 buttons that are lined up pretty much perfectly. Okay, so this is probably going to work for us. So let's go ahead and delete some of these extra buttons real quick. Okay, so there we have 3 buttons, and if we go ahead and hit that again, you can see that we have the 3 corresponding buttons that we would want. But instead of using just a simple button, I want to go ahead and actually use an image for these. And I'm just going to go ahead and reuse the images that I've already gone ahead and used for the other script that I actually already have coded. So what I want to go ahead and do here is look at the button reference. So I'm just going to type here in the top, button, and this is the button that we're actually using now. But instead of using just a label for that button, I want to, like I said, go ahead and use an image. So we would want to go ahead and use the symbol button command here at the bottom. And let's go ahead and take a look at the example for this. So you can see where the actual command for the symbol button is fairly simple. All you would have to do is type in symbol button. The image line here is going to indicate what image that you're going to be using. Okay, so let's just go ahead and copy and paste one of these. And we'll jump back to Maya here real quick. Okay, we'll go ahead and delete these 3 buttons. Go ahead and paste those in. Okay, and instead of using the circle here, I want to go ahead and use an image that I'm already have set up and placed properly, which is in the Maya documentation, Maya corresponding version, preferences, icons folder. and that is the side icon dot tiff. Okay, let's go ahead and hit Control A. Go ahead and run that command, and you can see that our image button is already getting lined up properly here. Okay, so let's go ahead here and copy this again, and we'll go ahead and paste this 2 more times so that we're going to have our, just change the side here to our top icon, and I'm just going to go ahead and size that up a little bit here. I'm also going to go ahead and change the 50-50 of the actual window to 100 by 100 so that we have a larger image. And you can see here where we now have a larger image in our window, and this gives us the 3 images that we want. Okay, but we just need to go ahead and change this last side icon, and I'm going to go ahead and put our front icon in here. So now if I go ahead and update this code, you can see where we have the 3 images that we want and that are already being placed in here. So now we have to go ahead and take a look at renaming our window. Let's go ahead and jump back to our Maya Online documentation here. Okay, and we'll just click back to Windows, Window, and you can take a look at the actual example here for title. And if we look here where it says window title long name, so you would just put the dash title and then the quotation marks, and then you can go ahead and title the window. So let's go ahead and see if that's going to work for us. Let's go window dash title quotation marks or parentheses, and we will say the CG Tuts Image Studio, into parentheses. Go ahead and run that code, and you can see where our window gets updated here with the actual name. Okay, so this is looking really good right now, and it's having the right sort of layout that I want. Okay, so now what we're ready to go ahead and do here is probably turn our window into something that's in our buttons into working buttons. And in order to do that, we actually have to have a command for these, and I want to go ahead and show you an example here. So we'll go ahead and click back the button, and if we come down here for our symbol button, if I can find the actual dash command flag here, it's right here. You can just use the dash C command, and it'll have to be run after the circle PNG, or in our case either the side icon, the front icon, or the top icon. So let's go ahead and put those in so that we can actually have a command that'll get run whenever we press our buttons. So let me go ahead and just minimize that real quick. Okay, and we'll do it just spacebar in a couple places. Go ahead and hit dash C, okay, parentheses, and the command here is going to be for our side icon, so we'll just call side image, into parentheses. Okay, let's go ahead and run that command, and you can see that we still have our window that's being created, but I know that the side icon is actually working, because if we take a look here over in the left hand side in the top of our script editor, it's saying that Maya cannot find the procedure side image. So what this means is that this button actually is working, but since we don't actually have a procedure in the code here, nothing's actually happening. So what I want to go ahead and do now is just use the same format here to create the commands for what would be the top icon and also the front icon importation. So we'll just go dash C again, okay, parentheses, we'll call this the top image, okay, parentheses. We'll go ahead and just copy and paste this real quick. Go ahead and spacebar over a little bit. Okay, we'll change the top image here to our front image. Okay, Let's just make sure that we run this so that to see if this is actually going to work here. Okay, it looks like our top image is working, and also our front image is working here. And so now what we need to go ahead and do is add some procedures to bring in the images and to make sure that those buttons are going to go ahead and work. Okay, so we'll go ahead here, and before we go ahead and do those procedures, I want to go ahead and add a little bit more to the window title line here. And this is just simply going to be for the sizable information, so that I can resize the window as needed and also set the size here for the actual window. So if we go ahead and just jump back to the Maya Online documentation here, and if we go ahead and just scroll up here, or we'll have to jump back to the window here and take a look at two more flags. The sizable flag is going to allow us to go ahead and resize the window as needed, so we're going to go ahead and use that. And we're also going to set a width and height of the window, so it's just going to be -W or and -H, or you can set them both at one time, so it'll be -W and H. So let's go ahead and bring in those two codes. Okay, so we'll go ahead here and hit the before the title, we'll go ahead and hit dash size. Oops, sizable. Put that as 1, and I spelled that wrong. I actually have to put the E in there. Okay, and then we will go ahead and put our dash width and HEI GHT height. So we want a window size of 75 and 75, and that's going to be a little square. And actually I spelt that sizable wrong, so I need to go ahead and put the L in there. And there you go, there's our window, and it's also resizable, as you can see here. Okay, so now we're ready to go ahead and start adding some of the procedures here that are going to allow us to go ahead and bring those images in. And I just want to jump back to the Maya Online documentation once again to show you the procedure here. So let's go ahead and type in procedure. Oh, that actually doesn't work. Just type in button here and go ahead and click the symbol button. And I don't know if this will actually show up here for the procedures. Nope. Okay, so basically the difference between a procedure and a global procedure is the regular procedure would actually have to get run and loaded into memory whenever you run the script or before you run any window type thing. But the global procedure is going to be run globally, so it means it can be run from basically anywhere. So to go ahead and create those, all you need to come down and just click next to window here and show window. Just enter down a couple spaces, type in global, global proc, which is our global procedure, and then we need the squiggly brackets or the curly brackets above the 9 and the 0, and our global procedure to bring in our side image. Okay, so we'll just go ahead and copy and paste the side image name, and we want to open and then close curly brackets, and we're going to be putting code in between these two to go ahead and create those code that we need to bring our images in. So we'll just go ahead and copy and paste this real quick. Okay, enter down, and we'll say that this is going to be our top image, so you can just simply copy and paste top image here to side image. Okay, we'll go ahead and copy and paste this once again. Go ahead and come up here to the top, take our front image, because this is our command that's going to get run. So we'll go ahead and paste that on top image, so our front image is going to be set there. Okay, and if I want to go ahead and test this, let's just go ahead and clear the top here, and I'm just going to go ahead and hit these 3 lines of code from my center, pivot, delete history, and freeze transformations script. I'm going to go ahead and paste that into the side image, and and this is just to make sure that that button actually works. So we'll go ahead and hit Control A, go ahead and run that command. Okay, go ahead and move those over just to make sure that that image tool works. And we just simply need to go ahead and hit the side image, and you can see that it does work, but I need to make sure that I actually have something in the scene here. So we'll just go ahead and create a polygon real quick. Go ahead and run that command again. Okay, I'll just move the script editor off. Just select the polygon sphere, run it, and I know that it works because it's making the identity apply true where we want. So I know that button works. So with the same sort of code, I know that these other two are going to work as well. Okay, so in the next lesson we'll go ahead and come back, and I'll show you the way to go ahead and find the actual codes and lines of code that we'll need to go ahead and put into these button procedures, so that we can then correspondingly bring in our images and set them up how we want, instead of having to actually import them all manually and then fumble around with actually setting them up properly. So in the next lesson we'll go ahead and come back and do that.